What happens when your third eye is open and you can access it and you can use it, right? Life starts to happen for you, right? Instead of to you, it's for you. To where if you want to attract more abundance in your life, you want to attract love, you want to attract purpose or peace of mind or just blessings, what ends up happening is your third eye, since it's open, it can find the fastest way to get there. Instead of it being 10 steps, 20 steps, 100 steps, literally can be one step.
There is an eye inside you. It has always been there, watching, waiting, hidden behind the veil of flesh and bone, buried beneath the noise of everyday thought. It does not see the world in shapes or colors, nor does it blink or close. It knows. And once you oxygenate your third eye, with this breathing technique, reality shifts. What is reality, really? Long before you were told what reality is, this eye understood the truth. Before you learned the names of things, before you were taught where the boundaries of the possible begin and end, it was open, drinking in the unseen, listening to the silent currents of existence. And then you forgot. It was not your fault. The world around you demands that you forget. The structure of your mind was molded by a reality that only accepts what is visible, measurable, and explainable. The eye dimmed, not because it ceased to exist, but because you stopped looking through it. But that can change. There is a way to open it again, to see not with your physical eyes, but with the deeper sight that has been waiting to return. And when that happens, reality itself begins to shift. Because reality is not what you were taught. Reality is not solid. It only appears that way because your mind has been trained to interpret it as fixed, stable, and predictable. But what if that stability is an illusion? What if the world is more fluid than you ever realized? Ancient traditions have long grasped fundamental truths about reality that modern science is only beginning to approach. Across various philosophical and spiritual traditions, there exists a profound awareness that what we perceive as reality is not fixed, but rather fluid, transient, and in many ways, illusory. The nature of perception and reality has been a central concern in human thought, particularly in Eastern traditions such as Hinduism and Buddhism, which developed intricate frameworks to explain the ephemeral and interconnected nature of existence. In Hindu philosophy, the concept of Maya is central to understanding the nature of reality. Maya, often translated as illusion or delusion, suggests that the material world, as perceived by the senses, is not the ultimate reality, but rather a veiled representation of something far deeper. The ancient Hindu texts, particularly the Upanishads, describe Maya as the power of Brahman, the ultimate, formless, and infinite consciousness, to manifest the universe in a way that makes it appear solid and separate, when in truth, everything is one unified essence. The Advaita Vedanta school of Hindu philosophy, led by thinkers like Adi Shankaracharya, elaborates on this idea by arguing that individuals are caught in an illusion that makes them believe in the distinction between the self, Atman, and the universe, Brahman. According to this view, enlightenment comes when one realizes that the apparent world is only a temporary projection of the divine reality, much like a dream that seems real while one is asleep, but disappears upon awakening. Maya is not simply deception, rather it serves as a necessary function in the cosmic order. It allows existence to unfold as a play, Leela, creating diversity and experience while simultaneously providing an opportunity for beings to seek deeper wisdom. This understanding influenced much of Hindu mysticism, including the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita, which encourages individuals to see beyond the veil of Maya and recognize the eternal presence of the divine in all things. Buddhism, which emerged from the same spiritual milieu as Hinduism, also emphasizes the illusory nature of perception, but with a distinct approach. The Buddha taught that suffering arises from clinging to things as if they were permanent, when in fact everything is in constant flux. Central to Buddhist thought is the doctrine of anicca, impermanence, which asserts that all phenomena, whether material or mental, are transient and ever-changing. In Mahayana Buddhism, particularly in the teachings of Nagarjuna and the Madhyamaka school, the concept of shunyata, emptiness, is crucial. Shunyata suggests that all things lack intrinsic, independent existence. What we perceive as solid and distinct is, in reality, a network of interdependent relationships. Nothing exists in isolation. This insight challenges not only the idea of a permanent self, anatta, but also the belief in fixed categories of existence. Nagarjuna famously used logical analysis to show that all concepts, cause and effect, self and other, existence and non-existence, are ultimately empty of inherent nature. However, rather than leading to nihilism, this realization is meant to free individuals from attachment and illusion, allowing them to experience the world with wisdom and compassion. When one sees through the illusion of separateness, suffering diminishes, and reality is understood as a vast, interconnected web of being. Interestingly, many of these ancient insights resonate with discoveries in modern science. Quantum physics, for instance, has demonstrated that at the most fundamental level, matter is not as solid as it appears. Particles behave in unpredictable ways, existing in multiple states simultaneously and interacting in ways that defy classical mechanics. The famous double-slit experiment suggests that observation itself influences the behavior of particles, hinting at a deeper mystery underlying perception and reality. Moreover, neuroscience has revealed that the brain constructs our experience of the world rather than passively receiving it. Our senses filter and interpret data, shaping a reality that may not correspond precisely to what is out there. Optical illusions, cognitive biases, and altered states of consciousness all suggest that our perception is not an objective window onto the world, but a constructed interpretation, much like the veil described in Hindu and Buddhist thought. Both Hinduism and Buddhism offer paths to move beyond illusion and glimpse the deeper truth. In Hinduism, this often involves practices like jnana yoga, the path of knowledge, meditation, and devotion to transcend the illusory self and merge with the divine. In Buddhism, mindfulness, meditation, and the cultivation of wisdom are emphasized as means to dissolve false perceptions and see reality as it is. Ultimately, the recognition that reality is not fixed but fluid can be liberating. Rather than being trapped by rigid identities, attachments, and fears, one can embrace the impermanence and interconnectedness of existence. Whether through spiritual practice, philosophical inquiry, or scientific exploration, the journey toward understanding the nature of reality remains one of the most profound quests of human experience. In this way, ancient traditions and modern discoveries converge, suggesting that what we call reality may indeed be a grand illusion, one that, when seen clearly, can lead to deep insight, transformation, and liberation. Even modern physics hints at this truth. Quantum mechanics suggests that particles do not exist in one place until they are observed. Reality, at its most fundamental level, responds to awareness. But what does this mean for you? It means that the world around you is not separate from you. It means your thoughts, your breath, your very consciousness shape the way reality unfolds. And at the center of this hidden connection lies the third eye. The third eye, the gateway between you and reality. The ancient mystics knew the third eye was more than a symbol. They believed it was the bridge between the mind and the universe, the seat of higher perception. Physically, It is linked to the pineal gland, a small, light-sensitive organ deep in your brain, often called the seat of the soul. This gland produces melatonin, regulating sleep and dreams, but some believe it is capable of much more, of perceiving dimensions beyond the physical, of tuning into frequencies normally drowned out by thought. When activated, the third eye does not see in the way your regular eyes do. It senses. It recognizes patterns, absorbs energies, and allows you to experience reality beyond the limits of space and time. Some describe it as intuition sharpened to the point of knowing. Others report visions, sudden bursts of insight, a deep sense that the world is not what it seems. But for most, the third eye remains clouded, inactive. Years of conditioning, poor breathing, artificial light and chemical exposure calcify the pineal gland, dulling its power. And yet, there is a way to clear it, a way to oxygenate it, to flood it with energy, awaken its potential, and let it fully open. The key is breath. Why breath is the bridge. Breath is not just air, it is the pulse of life itself. Every inhalation and exhalation carries energy, known as prana in yogic traditions, chi in Chinese philosophy, and ruach in Hebrew mysticism. It is the force that animates all living things. And most importantly, breath is the only bodily function that is both automatic and controllable. You do not have to think about breathing, yet at any moment you can take control of it. This is not a coincidence. Breath is the bridge between the conscious and subconscious, between body and mind, between you and reality itself. And when you learn to breathe in the right way, when you learn to oxygenate the third eye, everything changes. Because the breath does not just fuel the body, it awakens the soul, and that is where the shift begins. The third eye, breath, and reality are not separate. They are intertwined, each one influencing the other in ways most people never realize. How reality responds to perception. Have you ever had a day where everything just seemed to flow effortlessly? You wake up feeling clear, and suddenly the world seems to mirror that clarity. Things fall into place, opportunities appear, and even strangers seem to greet you with warmth. And then there are the other days, the ones where everything feels off, as if the universe itself is resisting you. Delays pile up, people misunderstand you, and no matter what you do, nothing seems to go right. It is easy to dismiss these experiences as random chance, but the truth is far deeper. Reality does not simply happen to you, it responds to you. Your state of mind, your energy, your perception, all of it plays a role in shaping the world around you. Most people believe they are separate from reality, as if life is something external, moving forward, whether they participate or not. But the ancient teachings, and now even modern science, suggest otherwise. You are not just an observer of reality, you are part of its fabric. And at the core of this realization lies the third eye, the gateway to seeing the hidden relationship between consciousness and the world itself. What you see is not reality itself. It is a translation filtered through your mind's limitations. Two people can look at the same situation and experience completely different realities. A child gazing at the night sky sees a canvas of endless wonder, while an astronomer sees the cold logic of planets and stars, and a poet sees the vastness of the soul. The sky remains the same, but the reality perceived is entirely different. Your perception is not passive. It constructs the world around you. This is why two people can live in the same city, experience the same events, yet tell completely different stories about what life is. One may see a world of struggle, competition, and scarcity, while the other sees opportunity, synchronicity, and meaning. What makes the difference? Awareness. The way the mind frames reality determines what is seen, what is ignored, and ultimately what is believed to be true. The third eye is the part of you that allows you to expand beyond these limitations. It is the seat of deep perception, the lens through which reality's hidden layers become visible. When closed, life appears rigid, predictable, and bound by unchangeable rules. When open, life reveals itself as fluid, alive, and responsive to thought, breath, and awareness itself. And this is not just a mystical idea. It is something science is only now beginning to understand. The quantum connection. For centuries, spiritual traditions have described reality as something more fluid than it appears. Buddhist teachings warned that attachment to a fixed reality was the root of suffering. Mystics throughout history have shared stories of bending reality, of moments where time, space, and circumstance seem to shift in response to deep awareness. The famous double-slit experiment revealed that light behaves as both a wave and a particle, but only after it is observed. This means that reality does not take a definite form until consciousness interacts with it. At the smallest level of existence, reality itself changes based on whether it is being watched. This discovery shattered everything science once assumed about a fixed, objective universe. It suggested something ancient teachings had always known: observation influences reality. If the act of perception changes how matter behaves, what does this mean for you? It means your awareness is not just receiving reality, it is helping to shape it. Your third eye, when truly open, acts as a tool to navigate this truth. It allows you to step beyond the illusion of a passive world and into a reality where your consciousness actively participates in what unfolds. The third eye and reality manipulation. When the third eye begins to open, something profound happens. Your perception shifts, and with it, reality itself seems to adjust. People who have experienced this awakening often report moments of uncanny synchronicity, thinking about someone and receiving a call from them moments later, seeing repeating numbers everywhere, or feeling as though time itself has slowed down. Others describe heightened intuition, an ability to sense what is coming before it arrives, or even a deep knowing that certain paths are unfolding for a reason. These experiences are not random coincidences. They are signs that reality is responding differently to your heightened awareness. The more you see, the more reality shifts to meet your level of perception, and the key to strengthening this ability, to truly unlocking the third eye's power, is breath. Breath, the hidden tool of creation. Breathing is more than a biological function. It is the most direct connection between your consciousness and the world around you. In nearly every spiritual tradition, breath is considered sacred. The yogis of India have spoken of prana, the life force carried by breath, which fuels not just the body, but also the mind and soul. In Taoist practices, qi is cultivated through breathwork, strengthening the connection between the inner and outer worlds. In ancient Hebrew mysticism, ruach means both breath and spirit, symbolizing the divine force that sustains all life. Breathing is unique in that it is both automatic and controllable. You do not need to think about breathing, yet at any moment you can take control of it. This is not a coincidence. The ability to consciously alter breath is a hidden gateway, one that connects the unconscious mind with the conscious will, and when used correctly, it can shift the way you perceive and interact with reality. When the breath is weak and unconscious, awareness remains limited. The mind stays trapped in its ordinary filters, blind to the deeper movements of existence. But when breath becomes intentional, deep, and rhythmic, something extraordinary happens. The mind clears, the body charges with energy, and the third eye begins to awaken. This is not imagination or mere relaxation. It is a fundamental change in the way energy moves through the body, feeding not just the physical brain, but also the pineal gland, the biological center of the third eye. Now that you understand the connection between perception, reality, and breath, the next step is to take control of it. You do not need to be a monk, a mystic, or a scientist to experience this shift. You simply need to learn how to breathe in a way that oxygenates the third eye, activating its full potential. This breathing technique that has been used for centuries to awaken deeper vision. This is the technique that allows the third eye to fully open, clearing the fog of ordinary perception and allowing reality to respond in ways you have never experienced before. Because once you learn to breathe this way, the illusion of limitation begins to fall away. What remains is something far more real. The breath of awakening. In the stillness between breaths, there is a space where awareness expands. It is subtle, almost imperceptible at first, but once noticed, it becomes impossible to ignore. That space holds the key to unlocking the full potential of the third eye. Breathing has always been more than just a basic survival function. It is a bridge, a connection between the seen and unseen, between the physical world and the vast field of consciousness beyond it. The ancient sages knew this long before science confirmed the relationship between breath, brain function, and altered states of awareness. The way you breathe shapes not only your internal state, but also the reality that unfolds around you. Every thought, every emotion, every perception you experience is influenced by the rhythm of your breathing. When breath is erratic and shallow, the mind becomes restless, thoughts spiral, and awareness shrinks. But when breath is steady, deep, and intentional, something shifts. The body relaxes, the mind quiets, and a new level of clarity emerges. This is no coincidence. The breath directly influences the nervous system, determining whether you exist in a state of stress or presence. But its effects go even deeper. It is the primary carrier of life force, the very energy that fuels consciousness itself. Breath is the current that moves this energy through you, nourishing not just the body, but also the third eye. Hidden deep within the brain, nestled between the two hemispheres, lies the pineal gland. This small pine cone-shaped organ has long been associated with the third eye, and for good reason. It is uniquely sensitive to light, influencing sleep, perception, and even higher states of awareness. But its true potential is often dormant, locked behind layers of conditioning, toxicity, and lack of activation. Oxygenation is one of the most powerful ways to awaken the pineal gland. Unlike other organs, which receive oxygen primarily through the bloodstream, the pineal gland requires deep, rhythmic breathing to be fully activated. This is because it thrives in an environment rich in oxygen and low in carbon dioxide. When the breath is shallow, the gland slows down and awareness remains dim. But when breath becomes a conscious practice, something extraordinary happens. Energy flows, perception expands, and reality begins to shift in response. Breath, frequency, and the shift in reality. The ancients understood that breath was more than just air moving in and out of the lungs. It carried vibration, rhythm, and frequency, and it is this frequency that interacts with the field of reality itself. Everything in existence vibrates. Your thoughts, emotions, even the space around you, all of it is made of energy in motion, and like a tuning fork, your breath has the power to shift the frequency of your being. When you breathe with awareness, your vibrational state rises, aligning you with higher levels of consciousness. At these elevated states, perception sharpens, intuition strengthens, and the world around you begins to respond differently. The idea that everything in existence vibrates and that consciousness can be influenced by shifts in energy resonates deeply with the philosophy of Pythagoras, the ancient Greek mathematician and mystic. Pythagoras is best known for his contributions to mathematics, but he also developed a profound metaphysical system based on the belief that numbers, frequencies, and vibrations form the foundation of reality. Pythagoras taught that the universe operates according to precise mathematical and vibrational principles, a concept later known as the harmony of the spheres. He proposed that celestial bodies, much like musical notes, emit frequencies that shape reality. Just as the plucking of a string produces a harmonic sound, everything in existence vibrates at a particular frequency, including human thoughts, emotions, and consciousness itself. This idea aligns with the notion that your breath, being an internal rhythm of the body, can act as a tuning fork, influencing your vibrational state. When you breathe consciously, you bring yourself into alignment with these natural harmonics, allowing for an elevated state of awareness. Pythagoras also saw a direct connection between vibration and spiritual ascension. He believed that by refining one's thoughts, emotions, and physical body through discipline, including breath control, meditation, and contemplation, one could attune to higher states of consciousness. This aligns with your assertion that when vibrational frequency rises, perception sharpens, intuition strengthens, and the world begins to respond differently. Later, Plato, influenced by Pythagorean thought, expanded on this idea in his concept of the world of forms, suggesting that beyond the physical world exists a realm of pure, higher reality that can be accessed through intellectual and spiritual refinement. Thus, when you breathe with awareness, you are not merely taking in oxygen, you are engaging in an ancient and scientifically relevant practice that shifts your energetic frequency, opening doorways to expanded perception, deeper intuition, and a more harmonious relationship with the universe. People who have experienced deep breathwork often describe moments where time seems to slow down, where their surroundings become more vivid, or where synchronicities become too precise to ignore. These are not coincidences. They are the result of a shift in vibrational state, a direct consequence of breath altering the way energy moves through the body and mind. Breath is not just a function of survival, it is a sacred key, a portal to altered states of awareness. The deeper you go into conscious breathing, the more the edges of what you once thought was reality begin to blur. Perception expands. The unseen becomes visible. The world as you knew it is transforming. Every tradition that speaks of enlightenment, inner sight, or divine revelation places breath at the core of its practice. The yogis call it prana, the life force that flows through the body's energy channels. The Taoists liken it to a river, moving freely when unblocked, stagnant when neglected. In shamanic traditions, breath is the gateway between worlds. In esoteric Christianity, it is said that when the breath is still and focused, the eye of the soul opens. But you may ask, why is the third eye dormant for most people? Why the third eye remains dormant for most? The third eye is not just a mystical symbol, it is a function of perception, a direct link to deeper realities. Yet for most, it remains closed or barely active. This is not because it is inaccessible, but because modern life trains the mind to ignore it. The average person is bombarded with distractions, screens, stress, artificial light, and chaotic thoughts. The nervous system stays in survival mode, breath stays shallow, and the mind becomes trapped in lower frequencies of awareness. In this state, the third eye remains dormant, starved of the oxygen and energy it needs to awaken. But when breath is used intentionally, when it is deep, rhythmic and directed, the third eye begins to stir. Sensations may arise, a pressure between the brows, flashes of light, a sense of expanded awareness. These are signs that the veil is thinning, that perception is shifting from the ordinary to the extraordinary. While many dismiss the third eye as mere symbolism, science tells a different story. The pineal gland, often associated with the third eye, is a highly sensitive organ that responds to breath, light, and frequency. It produces melatonin, which regulates sleep, but also secretes DMT, a compound linked to profound mystical experiences. When breathing is shallow, the pineal gland stays sluggish, calcified, and inactive. But when the body is flooded with oxygen through controlled breathing, the gland activates. Blood flow increases, detoxification begins, and electrical activity within the brain shifts. This is why deep breathing is often linked to heightened intuition, lucid dreaming, and states of deep clarity. Ancient cultures knew this long before modern research. Egyptian priests practiced deep breathing rituals in the temples of Karnak. Tibetan monks engaged in tummo breathing, generating internal heat and expanded consciousness. Even in early Christianity, breath was used as a form of prayer, bringing the practitioner into direct communion with the divine. There comes a moment in deep breathing practices when something clicks. The mind becomes completely still, yet awareness sharpens. Thoughts no longer scatter, but move with precision. Colors appear brighter, time slows, and an indescribable stillness fills the body. This is not imagination, it is a shift in perception. The third eye, now fully oxygenated, begins to register reality differently. Some describe it as a feeling of stepping outside of time, as if observing life from a higher vantage point. Others report flashes of insight, visions, or an overwhelming sense of interconnectedness with everything around them. This is the threshold, the moment where breath unlocks not just the physical body, but the deeper currents of existence. It is the point where the external world ceases to feel separate, where the boundaries between self and universe dissolve. But not everyone is ready for this shift. The mind, conditioned to a certain way of perceiving, often resists change. When the third eye begins to open, long-buried emotions can surface. Unprocessed fears, past traumas, and even hidden truths about oneself may rise to the surface. This is why, in ancient traditions, breathwork was not just a technique, it was a preparation for transformation. To see reality clearly means confronting illusions, and not all are willing to do so. Some retreat, fearing the intensity of the experience. Others embrace it, allowing breath to guide them through the unknown. Despite its accessibility, few people ever tap into the true potential of breath. Modern life conditions the mind to ignore it, to take it for granted. Stress shortens it, distractions fragment it, and before long, breathing becomes a mere survival function rather than a tool for awakening. Even those who practice meditation or mindfulness often overlook the importance of breath as a direct key to reality itself. They may focus on thought, visualization, or external rituals, yet ignore the simplest and most immediate path, the breath that is always present, always waiting to be harnessed. But once this power is reclaimed, the changes are undeniable. The mind sharpens, the body strengthens, and the third eye begins to function as it was always meant to, seeing beyond illusion, revealing the deeper currents of existence. Preparing for the breath technique. Before diving into the technique itself, it is essential to prepare. The way you enter this practice determines the depth of the experience. First, the body must be relaxed and free from tension. Sitting in a quiet space, away from distractions, allows the nervous system to shift into a receptive state. The spine should be straight, allowing breath to flow without obstruction. Next, awareness must be brought to the breath itself, noticing its rhythm, its depth, its quality. Is it shallow, rapid, uneven? Simply observing without judgment begins the process of transformation. The more attention is placed on the breath, the more it naturally begins to deepen. Once these steps are in place, the real work begins. The breath technique that follows is not just a method, it is an activation, a direct path to unlocking the third eye and shifting reality itself. Before engaging in the final technique, the body and mind must be fully prepared. The next part will reveal the exact breathwork practice that floods the third eye with oxygen, pushing perception beyond its normal limits. But before that, a simple preparation must be done. For the next 24 hours before attempting the breathwork, pay attention to your breath. Notice how often it is shallow, how frequently you hold it without realizing. Each time you catch yourself breathing unconsciously, take a deep, intentional breath. This simple practice will prime your body for what is coming, because once you engage in the full technique, the shift will be undeniable. The third eye will no longer be a concept, it will be an experience, and reality as you knew it will never be the same again. The air you breathe holds more than just oxygen. It carries the energy that fuels your consciousness. In every inhale there is potential, and in every exhale, a release of the old. When harnessed correctly, breath is not just a function of life, but a force of transformation. Now you stand at the threshold of something profound. Everything up until now has been preparation. The third eye, long dormant in most, begins to awaken when given the right conditions. Oxygenation is not just about survival, it is about activation. What follows is a breathwork technique designed to flood your body, mind, and energy field with pure, vital force. Once practiced, perception shifts, barriers dissolve, and what was once hidden becomes clear. The technique that unlocks perception. Before you begin, find a quiet place free from interruptions. The body should be relaxed, the spine aligned, allowing breath to move freely. This is not ordinary breathing. It is a conscious act, a deliberate opening of an inner gate. Close your eyes and take a slow, deep inhale through the nose, filling the lungs completely. Hold this breath for a moment, not in tension, but in stillness. Feel the energy spreading, expanding through the body. Now, exhale slowly through the mouth, releasing all stagnant air. Repeat this process, deepening each breath, extending each hold. With every inhale, imagine light pouring into the third eye, illuminating the space between the brows. As the rhythm establishes itself, a shift will begin. The mind, once cluttered with thoughts, starts to quiet. Sensations may arise, vibrations, warmth, even a subtle pressure in the forehead. These are signs of activation. If at any point dizziness or discomfort arises, slow the breath, but do not stop. This is the body adjusting to a new influx of energy. After several minutes, transition to a specific pattern. Inhale deeply through the nose for a count of 4, hold for 4, then exhale forcefully through the mouth for 4. This rhythmic cycle, often called the square breath or sacred breath, synchronizes the nervous system with higher states of awareness. With each breath, imagine the third eye not just opening but also seeing. Do not force an image, simply allow perception to expand. Some may notice colors or patterns, others may experience an intuitive knowing, a sudden clarity that was not there before. This is not fantasy, it is the mind adjusting to an awakened state. Continue this breathing cycle for 10 to 15 minutes. As time passes, awareness sharpens, and the external world may feel different, more vivid, more interconnected. This is the threshold of altered perception, the moment where the unseen begins to reveal itself. The effects of this practice do not end when the breath returns to normal. In the hours and days that follow, subtle changes emerge. Thoughts become clearer, emotions more balanced. Synchronicities, meaningful coincidences, may increase as if reality itself is responding in a new way. This is because the third eye, now oxygenated and activated, no longer filters reality through the same narrow lens. It perceives more, senses more, and understands more. Things once ignored or unseen now stand out with clarity. The illusion of separateness begins to fade, replaced by a deep knowing that everything is interconnected. One session is enough to feel the shift, but true transformation comes with consistency. The ancients never practiced breathwork as a one-time event. It was a way of life. The more this technique is used, the stronger the effects become. Each session deepens awareness, strengthens perception, and solidifies the connection between breath and reality. But how do we integrate this practice into daily life, ensuring that the shift is not temporary but permanent? Living with an awakened vision. Once the breath has opened the third eye, life is never the same. The old, limited perception fades, replaced by something sharper, more fluid, more attuned to the deeper currents of existence. What was once unseen now stands in plain view, and the world you once navigated feels different, richer, more interconnected, pulsing with an energy you never fully noticed before. But awakening is not the end of the journey. It is the beginning of a new way of being. The shift is profound, but it must be integrated. Without integration, the expanded awareness risks fading, swallowed by the patterns of the ordinary mind. The key is to live in alignment with this new perception, to let it shape how you see, think, and move through reality. With heightened awareness comes both clarity and responsibility. The third eye, once activated, does not close easily, but the mind can attempt to suppress what it sees. Society is not built for expanded perception. Distractions, routines, and external noise pull attention away, drawing awareness back into the narrow confines of conventional thinking. Some may experience moments of doubt, questioning whether the shift was real. Others may feel overwhelmed, sensing energies and insights that challenge their previous understanding of reality. This is normal. Every expansion comes with a period of adjustment. The mind must learn to function in this new state, balancing heightened perception with everyday life. The solution is simple: remain anchored in breath. Just as breath was the key to awakening, it is also the key to maintaining. Regular practice ensures that the connection stays strong and that the third eye remains oxygenated and active. Living with an open third eye means moving through the world differently. Patterns that once went unnoticed now reveal themselves. People's emotions, intentions, and energies become more transparent. Synchronicities increase. Meaningful coincidences, messages from the universe guiding your path. To integrate this heightened awareness, certain practices can help. Morning breathwork sets the tone for the day, ensuring clarity and focus. Midday grounding exercises such as walking in nature or sitting in silence keep the mind balanced. Before sleep, conscious breathing quiets the thoughts, allowing for lucid dreams and deeper insights. Contemplative presence becomes more powerful, revealing layers of understanding that were previously hidden. Creative expression flows effortlessly, as if guided by something beyond the personal mind. Decision-making sharpens, intuition strengthens, and a deep sense of knowing replaces uncertainty. Seeing beyond the surface of reality. With sustained practice, reality itself begins to reveal its hidden structure. What once seemed random now appears purposeful, connected by unseen threads. Time feels more fluid, as if moments stretch and contract based on awareness. The illusion of separation weakens, replaced by an undeniable sense of unity with all things. This is not philosophy, it is direct experience. Many who practice third-eye breathing report seeing energy fields around people and objects, sensing the emotions of others with striking accuracy, or even receiving insights that seem to come from beyond the rational mind. This is not imagination. It is perception refined and expanded beyond the ordinary. In spiritual traditions, those who reach this state are often called seers, visionaries, or mystics. But this ability is not reserved for a chosen few. It is a natural function of the human mind, one that has been forgotten but can always be remembered. The breath is the bridge to that remembrance. There is no final destination in awakening. The third eye does not open once and remains static. It continues to evolve, deepening in clarity and insight. The more one works with breath, the more reality unfolds in unexpected, beautiful ways. At this stage, a profound realization emerges. The shift was never about gaining something new, but about removing the filters that blocked true perception. The world has always been this vast, this interconnected, this alive with energy. You just had to breathe deeply enough to see it. Each breath is an opportunity to expand. Each moment is a chance to perceive beyond the illusion. The technique has been given, the path revealed. All that remains is for you to step fully into this awakened way of being. And once you do, reality will never look the same again. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, feel free to subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching.